Next up, our next guest is Fran Sverdrup. He is, associated professor at St. Louis University School of Medicine. We're going to talk to him about FSHD research and the tie-in that he has, of why is he working with FSHD. And we welcome him now. Hello, how are you doing there, Fran?
Hi, Tim. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thanks for asking. I'm so delighted to have you on. Tell us a little bit about, before maybe your research, why are you working so hard to try to fight this FSHD with us?
So, as many people, many of you know, I have a daughter with FSHD, and that was my reason for getting into FSHD research. I had actually never heard of FSHD before that. And while my daughter prefers to stay out of the spotlight, she is hanging in there. What I can say, and I know that you and many other patients can attest to, is that FSHD progression is rough. So, I am keenly aware that the patient is waiting. And so the motivation is there, it's very strong. And I'm happy to be in a position where, I can devote my research career to, progressing towards a treatment for all patients.
How is your daughter doing now?
Hanging in there. There's progression. She had infantile onset, but as I said, she really wants to stay out of the spotlight, and she wants me not to talk about it.
Okay.
So,
no problem. I guess I can understand that, but as a father, I'm a father as well. So I kind of can tie in a little, definitely, to what's driving your passion for it. And it is admirable to somebody that can actually say, you know what, I'm going to do something about this, and then be a researcher in it is amazing. I can't really do that for my kids, be a researcher. I try to do things of this nature, right, in action, but you're really on the front lines on the research. So can you talk to us a little bit about what's kind of the current work you're involved with on the research side of your life?
Sure. But before I go there, I do want to stress how important it was to have the FSHD Society in place as a patient advocacy organization to allow researchers, new researchers, to shift their focus. And I've been supported by the FSHD Society and also the Chris Carino Foundation and Friends of FSH Research to help me, pivot from the research I was doing before in drug discovery to now where I'm completely focused on FSHD. So I really want to thank the society and people like you who are doing this marathon that you're doing today to enable that to happen. So my lab is focused on mainly two things right now. First is understanding, the factors that promote DUX4 expression in muscle. And clearly I'm interested in P38 inhibitors, which is a class of drug to which losmapimod, which is now in clinical trials, belongs. And so we're trying to understand, how is this drug working to turn off DUX4? What are the many complicated factors that link DUX4 to expression in muscle where it exerts its toxic effect? And so, this is still a complicated area. There's much work to be done, and my lab devotes a lot of time to understanding that with the hope that new avenues of therapies will emerge from those studies. I'm also very interested in new therapeutic approaches to target the disease. So I'm actively working on that sort of thing. And I'm not able to talk about that in detail, but you know, it's very exciting, and we're, you know, charging forward full speed ahead.
I I know that, yeah, you can't talk too much about certain things, and that I get. I've talked to researchers in the past, yeah, that they can only go so far, right, with what they say. But I trust me when I'm sure a lot of people heard you say that, and it still equals excitement. Oh, it must be something big. That's positive. Um, so it's good and bad. I wish we could always learn more and know exactly what's going on, but also understand that that can't always be. But know that work is being done. But between though the two things that you mentioned there that you're working on, um, what kind of excites you more, or are they kind of equal?
Um, they both excite me. I have big hopes for both. Obviously, I've been in the drug discovery realm for quite some time, and you never stop until patients are being treated sufficiently. And it's not clear if one size fits all right now, or that you might need multiple approaches. But you know, I'm very excited about the ongoing clinical trials. You know, I am itching to see clinical results come out, as Robert Gould suggested they would in the second quarter of next year. So anxiously looking forward to that. But in the meantime, pushing forward. And one of the things that excites me the most is that, you know, many academic groups as well as different companies are pushing forward on to get through some of the technological hurdles that we need to bring some of the new therapeutic approaches forward. And people are making progress, and there's very good momentum going on right now, and it's exciting to be part of that.
What work did you do prior to FSHD? I mean, we know the family tie into the disease, um, but what was your work like prior?
So I had worked for 11 years in the pharmaceutical industry. And so I had worked on antivirals, immunology, osteoarthritis, inflammation research. And so in 2010, a research site closed down here in St. Louis. And so I moved to St. Louis University with others from industry. And we started a drug discovery center. And that ended up being very fortuitous because that's when my daughter was diagnosed. And because I was at an academic research center, I had much more leeway to decide what I was going to do research on. And that's where the FSH Society came into play. I was able to attend a conference, meet researchers in the field, establish some collaborations. And at the time, I did not know muscle biology, but I knew how to screen for drugs, and made some collaborations, and initiated a drug discovery program here that led to some early potential candidates. And then as time went on, the success led me to entirely shifting my research focus to FSHD.
Has the COVID-19 pandemic kind of slowed your progress down at all?
Very little.
Yep.
We, following the rules of our local city government as well as the university, we're able to maintain a research presence here in the research building. And, we followed the protocols. Everyone stayed healthy, and we're able to keep pushing the project forward, which was very important because we did get a lot done this spring and summer that, if we had someone in the lab gets infected and you have to shut down and quarantine, that could be very disruptive. But we were able to keep things going, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Absolutely. That's yeah. I mean, I know those that are listening. You know, they're probably like, Tim asks that every time he talks to a researcher, and I'm like, well, I kind of and I want to touch on it because, you know, people that are in yeah, and you can relate. You know, your daughter has this is that there is this like sense of urgency. So if something kind of gets in our way, how much in the way did it get? You know, like, can we just slide that off and can we keep pressing ahead? You know, so it's good to know that might have been a little fork in the road or a little pebble in the road, I should say, but easy enough. It sounds like things are progressing. What is the ideal treatment plan that you're trying to achieve?
Oh.
A tough one. Sorry. Let me put you on the spot, Francis.
I mean, that's very tough. So I have been focused on stopping DUX4.
Right.
And so, as Robert Gould discussed earlier with the Fulcrum's clinical trial, that's the goal. Stop DUX4 from being toxic, from killing additional muscle cells, from exerting what other negative impacts it may have on muscle regeneration. So, you know, once we can do that and show that we can do that, we know we're going to have an effect on the disease. But, you know, what is the totality of that effect? We won't know until we do it in patients because although there's various animal models that are helpful for us to move projects forward, there's no animal model that tells us what the natural history of the disease will be. And so we're unable to say if we just stop DUX4 expression using this technique or this approach, then what is the long-term you know, benefit for the patient? We just don't have the ability to use an animal model to answer those questions. So we're focused on various methods of preventing DUX4 from being expressed in the muscle and are highly confident that that will have a beneficial effect.
Then when it comes to the question of community involvement, FSHD Society, you mentioned the Chris Carino Foundation, who we just had Chris Carino on prior to you. And what is the importance and you know, for your research to have the communities and the foundation involvements that you've had so that things like this event on a Giving Tuesday kind of give a nice push of possible, you know, more funds coming to research? How important in your view is it to have these things in place?
It's so important because, like I said before, it helped me get started and get into the field where at the time I had no, you know, funding to actually do research in this area. And so it helped me get a foothold in. But as I'm mentoring junior scientists and they want to become involved, you know, they now need those funding opportunities. And that is what the FSHD Society is going to provide, an opportunity for them to get a foothold in the field, establish themselves, and move on.
For those that want to learn a little bit about what you're doing, is there a place that they can go find some of the research that you're working on?
There's very little detail on our St. Louis University website. I work in the biochemistry department, which is biochem.slu.edu. And I've published probably a couple papers that gives, you know, detailed information on the type of research I've done and published. So those would be the options.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Fran, for joining us and sharing your story and what you're doing and what you're working on to help our community. We wish your daughter and your family the best, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you, and good luck. Hang in there. You got a ways to go.
Thanks, Fran. We'll